Welcome to Chalk Talk. My name's Joe White, and today I'm delighted to have a very special guest, good friend of mine, current professional footballer at Dagenham and Redbridge, Scott Wilson. Hiya, Scott. How are you, mate?
I'm not bad, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, all good, thanks.
Good.
Well, first of all, thanks for coming on, mate. And it's great to, obviously, I've not seen you for a long while, and it's good to catch up as well, if anything. Let's get straight into it. Earliest memories growing up with football. What talk to me about that in your childhood?
I think it might be similar to you, like with your dad. My dad played as well. Obviously, your dad played at a bit higher level, but my dad played sort of in the Dr. Martens League at the time.
Dr. Martens.
Your Dr. Martens League. I think it was for Almondsbury. And a few other teams around that level. And then he played on a Sunday, because that's what they used to do back then. They played Saturday and Sunday. So he played at for Liebeck Tavern on a Sunday, and they were brilliant. They were one of the better Bristol teams, and I used to go everywhere with them on a Sunday, all over Bristol to different types of games. And that was my earliest memories. I'd just run around the side of the pitch with a ball. Half time I'd be on the pitch smashing it in the goal. Those were my earliest memories. Probably just following my dad around everywhere.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I if you're anything like me as well, sort of similar memories as well. When you're going with your dad and stuff to games and seeing how the blokes sort of how they're behaving around the dressing room and the banter and stuff, it's it's sort of, I don't know, it's difficult to describe, but I think you just get that sort of feeling out of it, don't you? And it makes you sort of fall in love with the game even more, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And like, they don't, even though you're a kid, they don't hold anything back. They're still doing what they're doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you just see a lot of things. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny.
No, brilliant. So you during sort of school years, then you obviously, I presume you obviously played for your school team, and then I know obviously you got picked up by Bristol City. So just talk to me about, obviously, and then I presume you had a club team before you got picked up.
Not really, because I got picked up quite early, about 8 years old. So I did have a club team. I played for Bocco for like a year when I was like 6, 7. And then a team called St. Philip's Marsh, which, yeah, I was about 7 or 8. I got picked up by Bristol City when I was sort of 8 or 9 years old. So from primary school, I was always at Bristol City, training twice a week, games on a Sunday. And then going into secondary school, I was always at Bristol City. So I didn't, like the lads at school used to have, was it the A League and B League and things like that. Avon Youth League?
Yeah, Avon Youth League, all that. Was there the Hannam Minor League?
Yeah. So they all had those on a. They were all talking about that when in school and stuff, but I couldn't relate really, because I was always.
So you never played any. So from secondary school onwards, then you never played any sort of local.
From probably year 4 or 5.
Wow.
Didn't at all. I was always with Bristol City.
Oh, that's amazing. And obviously, was it the case of they wouldn't let you play, or because my memory,
they wouldn't let you play at all.
Right.
No. Yeah. Oh. They wouldn't let you play at all. Not at all.
Which is probably the right way to do it. Looking back now, I think some lads that I used to play with that were at sometimes they would play. I remember some Rovers lads would maybe have a game for a Saturday team, and but
so there was always Bristol Rovers supporters club, weren't there?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, we weren't allowed to play at all.
No, but obviously that's the right way to go about it. And if you're training twice a week with them, and you obviously they don't want you to get injured or anything like that, then you're obviously playing your games on the weekend. So no, brilliant. So so how many years were you with Bristol City then in total, mate?
In total, it was 9 years, but I had a year off. So up until 16, so 8 to 16, I was there, and as a schoolboy, I didn't get a scholar. They didn't offer me a scholar at the time, which obviously I was devastated. Mate. It was my room crying. I thought all the world had ended. And then I went to Filton College for a year, which was the best thing that could have happened to me. Like, I went to Filton College with Simon Paynes.
Simon Paynes,
yeah. Studied college there and played, and it was just the best thing I'd done. I scored like 56 goals in 54 games, something like that. I just had the time of my life. And then Bristol City came back for me for the second year of a scholar. So I went back there, and I went back there and I signed there and played the second year of my scholar with them.
That's a mess. So what reason did they give for releasing you when you were 16 then?
The first time, well, to be honest, I wasn't good enough. I'm like,
that's honest of you.
Yeah, I wasn't at the standard of some of the other players in the team. And probably deep down I knew that, but obviously it's all I knew from 8 years old. So,
is that from a physical point of view or technically, or
no, that was technical. That was technical.
Right.
Because I was always a goal scorer and I'd always score, but things would bounce off me. I'd lose the ball a lot. I could have the worst game and score, but it wasn't good enough really.
Right.
And obviously I was devastated, but it was the right thing, and the path that I took, I'd never change it for the world.
Yeah, because you've always had your pace, haven't you?
Yeah, I was quick, and I'd score, but that was probably it. Which some people say that's enough, but at academy level, and obviously we played the top teams. So we played Chelsea's, Arsenal's, Tottenham's, the London teams, Southampton's, all the South teams, and like it was nowhere near it.
You need that little bit extra, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, great. So after that, then, did Bill Meehan coach you at Filton College?
Yeah, well, he was the B team manager. So
right.
So we all trained together at Hartbury, not at Hartbury, sorry, at Filton. We all trained together, and then Bill would take the B team, and Simon would take the A team, which the team I was in. But yeah, Bill he coached us. He done everything. I love Bill. I love them both, to be fair. But Bill
he was a good bloke, Bill.
He was.
He used to shout and scream at people, didn't he? But he was he was sort of everything sort of basic, but he was quite a good motivator, and I got a lot of time for Bill Meehan. He was a really good bloke, to be fair.
My favourite one was no square balls. No square balls.
No square balls. Yeah, that's right. He used to go mad at that, didn't he? Defenders with square balls. Yeah. No, that's great. Because
I loved it.
So Billy Clark and Tony Ricketts must have moved on by then. I think
they were. So when I left Bristol City when I was 16, I went on trial to Bristol Rovers. Billy Clark was the manager.
So what year was this?
Oh yeah, bloody hell.
2010? 2009?
2009.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, it would have been 2009. Yeah, 2009. I went on trial with Bristol Rovers. They wouldn't take me. It was just like shit, really. But I think Bill put me in touch with Simon, and I was skeptical about going because I thought I was better than that level.
Yeah,
I thought I could be at Bristol Rovers level, but obviously I didn't. And I didn't go to anywhere close like Charlton or anything like that. I wanted to stay in Bristol, so I did go there. So Simon was like, "Come for a trial," and I was like, "I'm not going for a trial." And he was like, "Look, it's not. We know that you're good enough, but we just need everyone to do the process." So I went. I never looked back.
Did they play in the South West Counties League?
South West Counties League. We won it that year. The ECFA, so the English Colleges League, which was on a Wednesday. We played in that. We got to the final of that. Against Hartbury, actually.
Yeah.
We lost in the final against Hartbury. And then, we won the South West Counties. But we had a great year. And like I said, I played 54 games and scored 56 goals. Like, it was just amazing.
That's Messi stuff.
Messi and Ronaldo stuff. And like I said, Bristol City, they didn't really have a choice. They had to sort of take me back.
Yeah.
There weren't like sort of other clubs interested in stuff, but I wanted to go back there and sort of prove a point. So I went back there, and like I was a different person. I was confident. I'd done really well. I was the top scorer that season. I scored 20 goals, something like that. We done really well in the league. We didn't do great in the FA Youth Cup. Lost to Birmingham. Nathan Redmond scored that day actually. But yeah, like I had an amazing season. But
Did you work on your game much in that? So that year you had at Filton, did they? You said technically you didn't feel you were quite up to it then. Did you, or were you just playing that much that you weren't training?
Yeah, I was playing enough that it was confident. But then the indoor dome at Filton.
Yeah.
I'd be in there all the time, just working on shooting. I was banging it off the walls, working on my touch.
Yeah.
And you weren't really allowed in there. Like, they didn't like people going in there, like, especially on their own. So like, I'd always have someone telling me I'd have to come off and stuff, but I'd always sneak in there and just like with a ball, just banging it against the wall, working on my touch, doing all my shooting.
That's fascinating. It's fascinating what you say there, because you talk about the repetition of that, and my dad, my old man, that's all the training he did was just he had his dad built him a wall when he was younger. Yeah. And he just for about 3-year period, he just used to smash the ball against the wall and control it, right foot, left foot.
Yeah.
For like hours on end, because you're practicing two things, and you're practicing your striking of the ball and you're controlling it. And as a centre forward, those are the two main things you got to be able to do. And hold the ball up, control it, and shoot off both feet if you can.
And I didn't have that at all before, like from 16 to 17. I worked on it. And to be fair, Simon worked on it. He knew that's what I needed. But to be fair, from day one, I was with Simon. He was like, "You're going to play in the Football League. Like, I believe you're going to play in the Football League." Like, he said that from day one. I mean, like, he's just put huge confidence in me. Like, that's why I had such a good season. Like, I speak to Simon all the time. Like, whenever I move club or anything, or I just check up on him every now and again. Like, we're still in contact, because he's probably the biggest influence on my career, if I'm honest.
No. That's great. He's a really good guy as well. When I was there, he obviously ran the setup there then as well. Yeah. And he set it, I think he set it up, was it 20, 25 years ago?
Yeah, probably.
The original team there. And yeah, in terms of like, if you're not at a pro club, the setup that they've got there at Filton, and obviously what Hartbury have, it's sort of like the next best thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I say, I always say that I'm lucky that I've been at probably two of the best places in the country that outside of a professional. Professional team. So yeah, I'm lucky in that sense. But so going on to Bristol City in the second year, like I said, I was top scorer. I scored 20 odd goals, and I didn't get anything at the end of it. But it was a case where there wasn't any 21s at the time. There weren't any under 23s. It was the season before that they started implementing that. So it was under 23s now, but I think at the time it was under 21s that they added. But there was none of that when we were getting decisions. It was just straight first team. And they just sort of said, "Look, like, you've come back, you've done everything you can, but just unfortunately, because at the time they were in the playoff championship, they were in the playoff final for the championship, and they were like, look, Nicky Maynard's our main striker. We're looking to go to the Premier League. Like, you're not sort of what we're looking for to get us to the Premier League or be part of a team that's going to get to the Premier League," which is fair enough. So yeah, it was that was another tough one to take, but I sort of saw it coming.
Who was in front in terms of strikers then, or attacking players? Who were in front of you? What lads got pro deals at that stage?
Aaron Holloway. Sorry.
Right.
Aaron Holloway. He's had a good career in League One, League Two, and now he's out. He's gone to Australia. Now he's out in India, so he's having quite a good career.
Okay.
Obviously, Bobby Reid as well.
Yeah.
Was in my team. Joe Bryan, and then a keeper. A keeper got a contract as well. It was scary. But yeah.
And that's often the case, isn't it? You sort of have your under 18s team, and we're sort of 15, 16, 17 lads in there, and quite often it's only 3-4 of them that might get a pro deal.
That usually is one or two. It's usually one or two. And to be fair, we did get 5 lads out of it. So no, 4 lads. So yeah, 4 lads out of it. So which was good. And they're not, like I said, like to be a fifth. I think I would say all of them were. Well, they definitely were ahead of me. They had a proper good career. So I can't complain. And to offer a 5th pro would have been ridiculous. Just considering there was no 21s, 23s. So yeah, disappointing, but it was definitely something I don't have any regrets about.
Yeah, no, that's good. So what you came out from that then? What was, so obviously again you got to try and dust yourself down and regroup.
Yeah, so at that time I went to Wycombe on trial in League Two, and I went to Cheltenham on trial. The Wycombe one I thought I was going to get, but the manager,
It's horrible going on trial.
yeah, and, and especially as a young lad, like now looking back at it, I was probably very naive. Like no, like Wycombe was like, yeah, we're interested, but we can't afford you, blah blah blah, and like. So give a young lad at 19, 150, 200 quid a week is nothing. So to be honest, I should have knew. And then I went to Cheltenham, and I was there for the whole 6 weeks of pre-season at Cheltenham. I done really well, like, and I thought, yeah, I'm getting something here. But if I was the person I knew now, I knew to leave after about 2 weeks, because they were just having me there as a number, because they were always going to get a experienced pro in up top anyway, because it was a striker at Bristol Rovers.
Darryl Duffy,
that's the one, yeah, Duffy. They signed him quite late in pre-season. And then once they signed him, they were like, look, there's nothing here for you. And that killed me, because I was 6 weeks in, the season's about to start.
Who was manager then?
Mark Yates, which is funny enough, because I've had him as a manager later on down the line. But yeah, Mark Yates was the manager, and he was like, look, there's nothing here for you. And like the season's starting next week, I'm sort of like, I've put all my eggs in that basket.
Yeah, brilliant.
Nothing's gone, and I was like, oh no. So then I've ended up just going back to Filton, because Filton they just started up in the county league.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
They just started up in the county league. Obviously, all a bunch of young lads playing men's football. Simon was just like, look, you haven't got anything. So
I think I must have played again. What year was
that? Yeah. Would have played. Definitely would have.
I think I played against you for Titherington.
Yeah, Titherington. I played.
You beat us 3-2.
Yeah.
Did you score that day?
Probably. I done quite well there. Like we were playing all of them sort of teams. Titherington. I'm sure we played Chippensbury. Chippensbury might have been one of them. No, it might have been Thornbury. Some of those teams anyway. We were just getting kicked left, right, and centre, and everyone was just like, "These are kids. Like, what's going on? Like, kids." But
did you do all right in the league though? Did you? You must.
We were just mid-table. Like,
right.
we didn't do amazing. Like, we thought we would just piss it, because we just thought we were playing against these blokes that just go to a pub, like having pints before and after the game. But no, it was a lot more difficult than we expected. Obviously, we were just like I said, we were just naive kids that thought, yeah, we've been training pro, but like I said, all of these players have done the same, like around the sort of either semi-pro or professional level that have just dropped down. So no one was mugs. Do you know what I mean? So it was a very good experience. And then probably in October, I went to sign for Gloucester with Boris.
So did he come and scout you then, or how did
No, I think Simon just called him up and was just like, look,
right.
you can't play here. And that was a Conference North at the time, Gloucester, with Dave May, you don't need Boris.
Yeah.
So he's took me up there on 20 quid a week.
How much?
20 quid, mate. But luckily, like Darren Mullins was there, and I just jumped in with him, and he was good as gold with me. He took me everywhere. And it was more for the experience anyway, because I was literally on the bench the whole season, and I knew, like training, I knew that I could play, like I could play in this team. But at that time, like 10 years ago,
who was up front then? Did they have
Darren Edwards?
Right, so that was when he was probably back. Yeah, that was
back end of his career. Darren Edwards and Will Morford.
He was a good player, wasn't he, Will?
Yeah. But like at that time, I just thought, like I was there, and I was like, I'm better than these, like, or as good. Especially even at 18, 19, I was like, I'm good enough. But he just didn't trust me at all. He was just like I said, that must have been 9, 10 years ago. Like young lads just didn't get a look in at all.
And that's often the case. I think you hit the nail on the head there. Sometimes, like you said, you might be just as good.
Yeah.
Because they've got the experience on you, then they play instead of you. Not saying that you'd be better than them or anything.
And especially at that level is money as well. So I think Darren Edwards would have been top earner probably on.
He'd have been on slightly more than 20 quid, wouldn't he? Probably.
Yeah, he would have. Yeah, probably like 200 quid, something like that. top earner, so he's got to
So
play.
he's going to play, yeah.
The chairman's going to be looking at the manager saying, he's on 20 quid, he's on 2, why is he paying?
Yeah.
So there's that as well. So yeah, so I was there. I think I made 10 appearances, all off the bench really, for like 2 minutes, 5 minutes here. Like brilliant. Not a lot you can do.
Were they playing at Cheltenham then?
Saying that, on my debut was a FA Trophy game down in Truro away, and I come off the bench. I come off the bench and scored. So I thought, oh my god, I've scored on my debut, like league game on the weekend. I'm going to be in and around it. I was on the bench and I just didn't come on, and I didn't come on for 2 minutes, 5 minutes. And I was like, well, I've scored on my debut. What like, why am I not getting a chance? Yeah. But that was the story for the rest of the season. And then yeah, so I've ended up finishing that season. That was sort of a gap year, really. I didn't really study. I didn't study or anything. I was just playing there for me 20 quid a week, and that was it. Just living at home. And then I've sort of had conversations with my parents. I was like, look, you've got to do something. Like, obviously, like your dream is to play football, but you can't earn 20 quid your whole life. You can't not study. You've got to do something. And then I don't know how Hartpury came up. That might have been Simon again, but it did come up.
Gloucester have always had a little bit of a link with them.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, Gloucester as well. So I've gone in and I've had a meeting with Steve Guinan, and like once he showed me around the place and I've seen the level and seen every facilities and saw everything, I was like, yeah, I've got to come in. Like, I wasn't even bothered about the studying. Like, I was just like, I'm coming here to play football. And I got offered a scholarship and things like that. And yeah, started off on a sports coaching course, and started my Hartpury journey there.
Yeah.
And then sorry. So yeah, and I was at Gloucester again. So I'd done pre-season with Gloucester. Was started at Hartpury. It was quite evident that I wasn't going to play at Gloucester, so I signed the dual red with Cinderford,
and actually you played up front with Valuev, didn't you?
Yes, Lewis Summers, yeah. So it was literally 4-4-2, me and Lewis Summers up top, just kick it to him, flick on. So
He's got to be the tallest. Yeah. Just to give a bit of context, this guy's, what is he, 6'9"?
6'9".
He's a lovely guy, isn't he? Yeah. And he just wins headers for you to run onto.
Yeah, I scored. I think it was 16 before, like in December. By December, I scored 16.
So is that Southern League?
Yeah, that was Southern League. No, Southern 1. That was Southern 1.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I was dual reg, but I was literally just Gloucester just binned me off basically. I was still signed to them, but I wasn't getting a look in, and I was at Cinderford, scored 16 goals, and then the old Yate come and put 7 days in for me.
7 days.
They were bottom of the league, like literally rock bottom of the league, but they had a good FA Cup run. That's when they got Newport in the FA Cup.
Rob Cousins.
Yeah, Rob Cousins was the manager. They had and Michael Nika was the assistant, and they had Grovesy, Mitchell Page. They had Danny Ring, Ollie Barnes. They had a good team, but they were rock bottom. So they put 7 days in, and I'm like, well, I'm with Cinderford. We're sort of mid-table. I'm the top scorer in the league. Why would I be coming to the bottom of the league? they near almost 10 times my money.
Really?
And I was like, how can you offer that? Like, but anyway, and then my manager Steve Peters at Cinderford was like, what do you want to do to stay? And he kept offering me like upping my money. I was like, look, I'm not coming. And he was like I had literally just gone down and signed for Yate, and he called me and was like, look, what are they offering you? I told him, and he was like, all right, we'll give you that. And at that point, I was like, well, I've signed, like I'm going. And plus, because I come back, because I stayed in Gloucester on a week, when I come back to Bristol on the weekend, on a Friday, that was sort of
That was in your thinking as well, and it's obviously
to,
just down the motorway, and you just come off, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you cut through? Do you go through Wickwall or Cromwell? Did you cut through there?
I'd come off at the Thornbury Junction, and
that's right. Yeah.
What the area that is. Yeah. So that was in my thinking as well, and I signed there, and we nearly won every game to the end of the season. We literally just come out of.
You were the difference then.
Yeah, well, we were 2 places outside the playoffs, and we just went on a mental winning run. It was a laugh. Went to Marbella at the end of the year, my first lads' holiday with a football team. Right, it was carnage. But so that was.
Who'd you play up front with there then? Sorry,
Little Page.
Right. Okay. So two quick and powerful lads at that level. Yeah. That's right.
Grovesy was on one wing. We had Coxey on another wing. Danny Ring was centre mid. We had a proper.
That's a decent team at that level then. Yeah.
And then after that, so that season I scored 31 goals in total in 7-1, and then I had quite a bit of interest from Conference North and South level, and I've had Boris bend my ear. He's like, bend my ear. I've ended up going back there on the same sort of money I was on at Yate, and it just didn't work out again. Like, I thought this time, look, I'm going to be one of the better earners. I've had my experience in men's football. Like, I'm ready now, sort of thing. And he was just like, he just was the same as he was before with me, really. Like, I played a little bit more and I scored a few goals and things like that. But I wasn't his type. Because I still wasn't like a target man, like hold-up player.
No.
Sort of in behind. But my hold-up play was a bit better, but he was just wasn't having it at all. He was just like, you need to get on with it, this, that. Like, I'm not a target. So it just didn't work out. I went to Bath in sort of December, January time. I think they just took over my deal, so it was just I was on the same contract there, and it just didn't work out again, really.
Yeah.
So there was AD Britton was the director of football, the manager was Lee House. It's just the same sort of thing, like another young lad just not really getting an opportunity. I was sort of 20 then. I just wasn't getting the opportunities, coming off the bench here and there, but it was just no good.
And you'd sort of proved yourself a little bit now, hadn't you?
Yeah. So I proved myself at 7-1 level, so sort of 30 goals there, and I scored, I think it was 6 at Gloucester before I went in January. So I had a few goals to my name that season. It just didn't work out. Obviously, you've come into the non-league football. I'm just interested in your take on, because I know it hits a lot of young lads a bit like a bus. When you came into the non-league football, and it's a completely sort of different sport almost in terms of, in academy you pass it around and all the rest of it, and you come into the Southern League and it's like smash it forward, second balls, more physical. How was that adjustment process? I think the county league, being in the county league, I think that helped it. That helped a bit, because obviously, like, there's a better standard than that. But it was, I was sort of used to that, playing that sort of 10 games for Filton in the county league. So it wasn't a massive shock to the system. Like I just took to it, really. It was, and I'm not a physical player, but I don't mind taking hits and things like that. So I'm used to that. So it wasn't really a huge shock to the system.
No. Yeah.
And it probably it's more beneficial to me if teams are trying to get it forward and get it in behind and stuff, because that's all I wanted to do was run in behind anyway. So it wasn't a huge shock to the system to me.
Plays to your strengths. No, that's interesting.
So So going on from then, Tim Harris went to Gloucester as a Gloucester manager. He took over from Boris, and he gave me all this talk and was like, look, I'm not going to treat you like how you've been treated, blah blah blah. Like this, you're the type of striker we want. This that. So I thought, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to sign for Gloucester again. Like I've got a few wrongs to right there. Went back there, literally the same story again. To be fair, I started the season. I remember scoring in against Worcester quite early on. and I got a couple.
Local derby, that is.
Yeah, local derby. Yeah, we won it 2-1. So that was big for me, and I thought, yeah, like this could be my season sort of thing. And as soon as like results, because Gloucester don't pay great in that league, probably one of the lowest paid teams in that league.
Yeah.
As soon as results are going bad, like the youngest lads just the scapegoat straight away. So I got taken out. A few Edgy as well. Edgy was before. That was with Boris. But yeah, Edgy was made a scapegoat. Myself, Manny, a couple of like just a few of the young lads. Like we just got taken out the team straight away. And it was just a case of bloody hell, like what am I going to do here? So I thought, look, I've got to maybe drop down again. Not to Southern 1. I'm going to look at Southern Prem, see what I'm like at that level. So I went to Polton under Nick Bunyard around October time. And they were they were a mid-table team. So I've gone there. It was a bloody to get to from Gloucester was a nightmare.
What's that? Hour and a half?
Yeah, but to be fair, he gave me
the most. Train though. Don't have to train.
Nah, yeah, I trained on a Thursday, I think, and he gave me more than any club that I was at before. Like he proper weighed me in. So I was just like, look, I'll go down there. Had a really good season there. I think I scored from October. I scored 16 odd goals. And I was just like, look, I'm better than this level. I can play at a level above. Like no one's just giving me the opportunity. Yeah. And luckily enough for me, Edgy was at Western. So he was, and we were obviously at Hartbury together. I think that would have been that was Edgy's first year, my second year. Edgy's first year at Hartbury, my second year. So going into my third year and Edgy's second year, he was like, come down to Western. He's told the manager about me. So I basically signed off to Western off of Edgy's recommendation, really. And then so we would share journeys down there, and we were playing at Hartbury together. I think
that was easier to get to then, wasn't it? That's because
just straight direct down the M5. So we just go to Western. We that season we won the national cup with Hartbury.
Yeah. You scored in the final, didn't you?
Yeah.
Penalty.
Terrible penalty, but they all count.
That's it.
And
we had a good night out, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, mate. Yeah, we did. We had a few good nights out.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, so that season at Western, I scored 24 at Western, and that was it. And that was my break into professional football.
Yeah. So obviously Eastleigh was the club that came in for you, weren't they? I remember you sort of telling us lads about it at the time when we were at Hartbury and stuff. Just explain how that unfolded then.
Yeah, so I'd actually signed for Western again. So I scored 24. I didn't have
on a contract.
Yeah. So right. I didn't have an agent or anything like that. I met my manager and was like, I've scored 24 goals in the now if someone scores 24 goals in the Conference South, they're going into the league without a doubt. Especially at 23, I think, or 22 I was. At 22, they're going into the league or National League top club at worst. And I didn't have any interest, and I was just like, I didn't have an agent. I was like, bloody hell, I'm gonna have to sign for Western here. They improved my money. I was like, okay, I'm gonna sign, but I'm making sure that I put in buyout clause. So I just put in a seven grand, I think it was. That was just off my own back. I want a $7 grand buyout clause. If someone comes in for that, I want to go. And they were fine with it, to be fair. Literally about 2 weeks later, I just had some random agent just call me and was like, look, I can get you to Eastleigh. What's your situation? I was like, look, I've just signed for Western. But there's a $7 grand buyout clause. Would the club still be interested? And then he was like, yeah, that's nothing. We'll sort that. So yeah, that was that. That was that. I went to Eastleigh, moved down to Southampton, and yeah, mate.
So how was that there? So obviously you've this was full-time football again, albeit in the National League. It's professional full-time football. You're training every day. Obviously you're back to you've achieved what you want to do, and obviously so you achieve your dream, so to speak. How was that then? The training and the how did you find the adjustment going? Obviously, because you've been used to doing the non-league stuff and training on an evening and trying to work and all the rest of it.
Yeah. So
how was that adjustment?
So as I went, it was difficult, very difficult. Like fitness levels, my fitness levels was quite far off it to begin with. So like all the testing that we're doing now at Dagenham, the testing that we were doing there, I was far off it. Even though I was training with Hartbury and training with my club on the evening, it was just not the same tempo. Like the tempo was at another level. So that took us some time adjusting to. It didn't help that the manager that I signed with was sacked after 4 games.
It's not ideal, isn't it? No.
Not ideal at all. It's not ideal at all, especially the fact that it was one of the top budgets in the league. We had at the time 32 players, 6 strikers. I think it was Ronnie Moore that came in. He brought in about 10 of his own players.
Right.
And I'm like a 7th choice striker because I've come from Western. These strikers have all, literally all played in the league. There was James Constable, that was at Oxford. There was Darius Henderson, that was at Watford. There was Ryan Bird, who played at a decent level. Mikhail Mandron, who they signed from Sunderland. There was Ross Lafayette. There was
some good players then as well.
Some very good players. And it was just a case of he didn't have a clue who I was, so So I had 10 games there. I was in the stands, just not even. I was just training and not even getting looking. Funnily enough, my first game was a game in the FA Cup against Swindon, because we were doing awfully in the league for what we were supposed to be one of the top teams, and we were bottom half of the league. So I think he's just thought, I'll just give this kid a chance. Like, he's been air training for however long, playing Swindon in the FA Cup. They were League One at the time. We won. We drew the first game. We had a replay, and the replay was when I first played, and we won it. We won 3-1. I didn't score, but I had a really good game. And from then, I started to play a little bit, and then he got sacked. So then it sort of went full circle. Martin Allen then came in sort of November, December time.
He's a character, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And then he sort of brought in 10 of his own players. So we had at one stage a squad of about 30, 40. He had 12, 15 lads just training on their own, and then a big group of the first team lads. And luckily enough for me, I was always part of the first team lads, because he wanted to get a few of the experienced players that were on big money, off the wage bill, but they wouldn't go anywhere because the money that they were on and the deals that they were on, they wouldn't get anywhere else. So to be fair, he gave me a proper chance, and I scored all the goals that I scored for Eastleigh were under him, really. But yeah, but we weren't doing great. Just a bang average team in the league, and we should have been going for promotion. So he got sacked sort of late in around February time, and he's just brought back. Chairman just brought back Gary Hill, the manager that got them promoted to the National League from the Conference South.
Right.
So, and we didn't get on at all, not at all. So it was another case of he didn't.
What was his style of play then? How did he?
I don't think he had one, mate. Just everyone just go out on the pitch. Good players just play football, which wasn't ideal, and it just didn't work out for me. And I knew I wasn't going to get another, because I only signed a 1-year deal. I probably would have got another deal under Martin Allen, but I knew I wasn't going to get one under Gary Hill. He didn't play me at all. All my goals, like I said, I think I scored 1 under Gary Hill. All my goals came under Martin Allen. And at the end of the season, from the last day of the season, I went back to Bristol. And he's called meeting. So I've gone back to Bristol on the Saturday. He's called a meeting on the Sunday, saying we all want meetings for each player on the Monday. And I was just sort of why am I going to this meeting? I'm not going to get a deal. What's the point? He's proper arrogant as well. we just didn't get on. Like, there's no point. I probably would have gone to the meeting. He would have just told me to F off, and that would have been it. So there's no point. So like that summer, sort of looking for clubs. Wasn't really. There was no real interest in me because I didn't have a good season.
Yeah,
I think I scored six goals, which is 28.
but it's very. You didn't really get an opportunity.
No, I didn't.
The one thing about you, I'd always say, is if you play 20 or 30 games in any team, you're always going to score a fair share of goals wherever you are.
I think the same. I do think the same. So yeah, I wasn't getting the opportunities. So yeah, I didn't turn up to the meeting, which I don't regret that. I still like if I was in the same situation now, I wouldn't. So yeah, like I signed for Macclesfield quite late in the pre-season, in the season, just before pre-season. So I probably had about 6 weeks without a club, 6 to 8 weeks without a club, just trying to get a bit of.
So did your agent help with that?
Yeah, I had an agent at the time, and he sorted that out. And Macclesfield, literally, they weren't paying a lot of money. They didn't necessarily. They finished that sort of bottom half of the league the season before, but they got to.
This is National League, sorry.
Yeah, this is still National League.
Still National League, yeah.
So it was a sort of Macclesfield. It was sort of last resort, really. Yeah, sort of last resort. So I've gone there, and like, literally, when I went there was like a squad of 10, and then throughout pre-season we were just getting people in, like people that were in my sort of situation that had a point to prove.
Yeah.
Didn't really. Everyone sort of had a point to prove. Literally, like we just got a squad of people that had a point to prove, that were good players, but we just didn't have a good season the season before, or
sure
had left the season before. And obviously we've gone on to win the league that year. And it's like, whenever people ask me about it, is that like I can only compare it to Leicester, really. That we were a team with a low budget in the league. We were probably expected to just about stay in the league, maybe mid-table at best. But literally everyone had a point to prove that year. I was the top scorer there.
You scored how many goals did you score?
14. I scored 14. But even that season, I played the first half of the season, and the second half I didn't really play a huge amount. We got Nathan Blissett in on loan.
Right.
We sort of changed the way we played a little bit, because we were definitely a passing team. And then, like, I think he thought that to win this league, we might need to go a little bit more direct.
Sure. So that's interesting. So how did you?
Sorry.
Go on.
As the pitches got worse, sort of in the winter, I think he thought that we need to change our style. And obviously, I scored 10 goals by Christmas, so I thought like this is a 20-goal season for me.
And so you've had a good start, and
we were top of the league. And
how are they playing up till Christmas then? What formations you playing? How were they?
4-2-3-1.
Right.
And I was the main striker. Like I said, I scored 10 by Christmas, and we were top of the league. And we had a great Christmas period. I think we got 9 points, and that's always good.
Yeah.
Christmas period, when you got 3 games in a week, we got 9 points. And that's when I think we started to believe that we could win it. And then he signed Nathan Blissett in January, and we were all sort of looking at each other like, what's going on here? Like, we're top of the league. Scotland the striker in. Like, he's not going to come and sit on the bench. We've changed the formation. Like, what's sort of going on? And he's sort of told me, look, you've been brilliant. We're just going to give you a little rest. And I was like, okay. I don't need a rest, but okay. And obviously, we've just carried on winning. Like we just carried on winning, which we would have, which I believe we would have anyway. But we just carried on winning, and he just didn't really change the team again after that.
Yeah. So did he keep the formation the same, or
his formation was the same? I just was on the bench at this point.
Right. So he's smacking it a bit more direct, or?
No, we didn't really. Like, I think it was just a better option for like crosses and things like that.
Yeah. Was his hold-up play better than yours?
I wouldn't say it was. He's a good player. Like at what he does, definitely, and he definitely added to the team. But I definitely think it would have been the same result whether I played or not, which was disappointing for me. Like I said, I just scored 14, so I did still score 4 goals from then, a couple off the bench, and then I did start a couple, but it was just disappointing that I couldn't continue because I really think I could have had a 20, 25 goal season that year.
Yeah.
And another part of it, I think I had a bit of interest in January from a couple of League One, League Two clubs, and I was only on a year deal, and I said to him, look, like I want my dreams to play in the Football League, like if there's interest, I want to sort of explore it, which I think that may or may not have gone in my favour or not.
Right.
He was like, no, absolutely not. Like he quoted these teams like a ridiculous price at something like 100 grand or something, which is ridiculous for someone who's only got 6 months on their contract for a League One or a League Two club to pay. They're not going to pay that.
No.
And then, like I said, I didn't play for the rest of the season. Really, I was coming off the bench and I played a few, but which was disappointing for me. But in the end, I still ended up the top scorer, and we won the league, which was amazing.
It's always great, isn't it, to be part of a team that wins the league, and you've still obviously contributed a lot. And
definitely, like I said, I'm so proud of it, and to finish top scorer, like it's my proudest moment.
Yeah,
as a player, it's just a bit disappointing that I didn't get the opportunity to finish off what I believe I started. But the lads were brilliant as we were all season, and we absolutely smashed the league. And then it was that summer where it was sort of, I felt if I finished the season and I did get the 20, 25 goals, being out of contract, I could have got a pick of League Two, and then quite a few League One clubs. But because I didn't play the end of the season, I think teams sort of were like, well, why not playing kind of thing. So there wasn't a huge amount of interest. There was a little bit of interest in Scotland, which I didn't really want to go to. I always
bit of a commute.
Yeah, and plus, I always wanted to play in the Football League because so many people told me that I would never play in the Football League. I wasn't good enough to play in the Football League. I thought I couldn't play, so I didn't have any interest. So I ended up signing a 2-year contract with Macclesfield. And that's where my Football League career started.
Brilliant. So what was it? So your first appearance then in the Football League? How was that?
I didn't play in the first game so my manager then, John Askey, he went to Shrewsbury.
Right.
He went to Shrewsbury. We won the league in a year. He went to Shrewsbury in League One, so we didn't have a manager. So we got Mark Yates in. That's where I sort of reconvened with Mark Yates. He's gone and got his own players in. I think we started with 1 or 2 players that started the season before.
Right.
So his philosophy was that going to get all these players and we're just going to start fresh. Whereas I think if we kept the same manager, he would have added a few and just stuck with the team that got us there.
Yeah.
So I didn't play the first few games. We lost them all. Then I've sort of come in and we were awful. We were awful. It just wasn't working. I think he got sacked in October, November time.
So ironically, though, then he gave you your Football League debut.
Yeah, no,
you were with him at Cheltenham all them years previously.
Yeah. So and it didn't quite work out with him. And then Sol Campbell came in. And we were 6 or 7 points adrift, and then it was a great escape. Really, I played a lot that season under Sol Campbell because I didn't really play a lot before with Mark Yates. I scored 1 goal, and then Mark Yates up until November.
So what was it like under Sol Campbell? Obviously, great player, wasn't he? And talk me through his
indifferent about his personality for me, but obviously tactically, he's obviously knows his stuff. Do you know what I mean? Training was good. It's obviously his tactics. Just for me, the man management wasn't all there. And I don't think he quite respected the level.
Right.
I think he expected everyone. He expected me to be Thierry Henry. He expected centre backs to be him. He expected centre midfielders to be Patrick Vieira. And obviously, he's got an elite mindset, like top world class mindset, and we're League Two players.
Yeah.
So he's expecting us to make the same sacrifices and same things that he would. Which we probably should as professional footballers, but it's League Two at the end of the day.
Why didn't you say what sort of sacrifices? What?
Like flat out in the gym, like before and after training.
Right.
Your diet absolutely clean. Not seeing friends and family. Not socializing. Just like which.
Wow.
He's at the top of his. That's what he done to get to the top of the game, and I guess what he's trying to make us do. But we're at League Two for a reason. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's probably the right way to be how he was, but only it takes a certain person to be able to do that. To just lock themselves away, have no social, just be on it on.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd love to be able to and just be gymming it all the time, but that's not me. We were drinking 3 times a week. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. But yeah, he done the job. He kept us in the league when it looked like we were dead and buried. Like I said, I played a lot under him. I scored nine goals under him. So I got 10 in the league that season. So in my first season in League Two, I scored 10 goals, got double figures, which I was
that's great.
Positive with, considering I didn't really play to start the season. But yeah, just we sort of clashed a little bit.
Did Andy? Did you say? Did Andy? Was that where Andy Cole came in and did some?
Yeah, Andy Cole was there. He's brilliant with me. Like,
really, yeah.
Yeah, like he was class. Just doing sessions with him, just bouncing off him, talking to him. It was like chalk and cheese. Like then, like you couldn't really speak to the manager. It was just his way or the highway. But with Andy Cole, like I could speak to him. We could have a laugh. We could do whatever. He was taking sessions, taking me off for individual sessions. It was amazing.
Any little pearls of wisdom from him then, or obviously, I mean, he was a great striker.
Yeah, he was just sort of. He made me a lot more composed in front of the goal. He was just like relax. Like you've always got more time than you think. Like
wow.
He's like you've always got more time than you think. So just relax. You've got half a second more. Whatever you think you've got is that you've got half a second more. So just relax and just technique, pick your spot.
Brilliant.
I mean, yeah, little ways of how to approach the ball, especially when you're running in behind. How to sort of slow yourself down. How to just yeah.
Because that's a skill. That's a skill, isn't it? As well, yeah. Especially I think for quick players, is actually slowing yourself, sort of decelerating and slowing yourself down in front of goal, and then composing yourself to get your shot away.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, what about movement? Anything's on movement from him?
Not being not blowing my own trumpet, but I've sort of that's something I've always based my game on is my movement, and he really liked my movement. So I don't think there was a huge amount he would say. I'm not often offside. I often get in. So he raised me on my movement quite a bit. So he didn't really help me with that. That's something I was quite good at. Anyway, it was more sort of just composure and picking your spot.
Yeah. No, brilliant, mate. So, how did it go from there? You had a few stints then at Oldham and Notts County, didn't you?
Yeah. So we stayed up in the league. Obviously, I've scored 10 goals in a team struggling at the bottom, and it was a whole thing that we weren't getting paid on time. That there was a lot of money issues at Macclesfield. That's why Sol Campbell left. But I left actually before him. In pre-season, we didn't get paid. There's a clause in your contract that you can cancel your contract if you're not paid within 2 weeks. And I knew there were sort of a couple of clubs interested in me in that league. And Oldham were a team that should have been in and around the playoffs, and they were interested. So as soon as I knew that, just tore up my contract, said, look, like you're in breach of contract, and I signed for Oldham. Which now probably I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do, because Oldham was behind the scenes. It was just as bad, if not worse, than Macclesfield. It was just a bit of shambles there, really. But yeah, it was a good experience. There was some top players there. David Wheater was there, Chris Eagles, Philippe Moraes. These players have all played in Premier League, Championship. Chris McCann. Like there's some real good players there coming towards the end of their careers, but still top players. So I learned a lot there, and I learned a lot about the business side behind football. Like I learned a lot at like places like Gloucester with the business side, but then it's on another level at Oldham, and I learned a lot, like sort of politics behind football and things like that. So it was a good learning experience, but it wasn't a great football experience.
Yeah. And then you signed for Notts County then? Did you go there on loan?
On loan. So yeah, I was there Oldham till January, February, and then signed for Oldham on loan, and Notts County on loan, sorry. And I was only there a month before COVID hit and the season cancelled.
Right.
Which was a bit gutting, because I was only there for sort of 5 games and I couldn't really put my stamp on it. And then to be fair, like, it was just in lockdown then, and then so we're in lockdown, and I was just thinking the season's over. I'm gonna be out of contract in the summer, and then I'll just reassess it then. Like, I wasn't in a good headspace with football. Just needed a break. Needed to be home with my family, and I just thought, just chill out and just that's it. Season's done. And then sort of two months down the line, we got a phone call from Notts County saying, "Look, the playoffs are on," because we were in the playoffs, but the season had what did they do? The points per game.
Right.
To finish off the season, and they said, "Look, the playoffs are going to go ahead. Barrow are going to go up because they were top of the league. They're going to go up in points per game, and then the season, the playoffs are going to go ahead." So we've gone and done the playoffs. I've had to go back for the playoffs, and I wasn't fit at all. No, absolutely nowhere near it. I just literally. To be fair, they said, "Look, just keep training because we were hoping that the playoffs are going to be on." And it just at the time, it just didn't look like it was happening. It was literally in the middle of at the start of the pandemic, where everything was locked down. So it was just like the season ain't finishing, no chance. And when they said it was, I had like a couple of weeks to get myself ready. We've gone back, had like a pre-season really, and I was just absolutely nowhere near it. So they actually got to the playoff final and lost in the playoff final, but I wasn't involved because I just wasn't anywhere near it fitness-wise.
Yeah.
And then I was out of contract then, and then being out of contract in the middle of a pandemic was awful, really. Literally had no interest over the summer. Danny Coles is my agent now.
Danny Coles?
Yeah, Danny Coles, yeah.
Former Bristol City and Rovers player.
Rovers, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So, we were really struggling. And then Dagenham came quite late. Because funny enough, Darryl McMahon, my manager here, took over from Sol Campbell at Macclesfield. So I wasn't there at the time. I played against him for Oldham, but he sort of knew who I was, knew about me just from hearing things at Macclesfield and stuff. So he took me down there and just wanted to see my sort of levels, and he took me in on a 2-year deal. So yeah, I had last season, and got this season now.
Yeah, brilliant. So you've just so obviously you're living up there. You're living up there obviously full time.
Yeah, East London, aren't they?
So how long have you been there for? In terms of when did you move in?
In October.
Oh right, okay, sorry. So you're did you say you've done 2 days of pre-season so far?
Yeah, 2 days of just testing. So we've done our sprint tests, our endurance tests, like yo-yo test, jump test, just to see our levels really. But pre-season here is good. It's not the old running through deserts and bloody running on beaches and running up hills. None of that. It's all with the ball, mate. So
yeah,
it's a lot.
That's good.
It's still hard. It's a lot of intense conditioned games and things like that, but it's just not fartlek runs and things like that. It's just, yeah, it's more.
It's not like the old school Southern League pre-season then.
No.
Run round the field 10 times.
Yeah, none of that, mate. None of that.
Brilliant. Well, listen, it's been great talking to you, mate. Thanks so much for your time, and I hope it really works out well at Dagenham for you, and you can. Like I said, I think the one thing about you is if you play 30 or 40 games in a season, you're always going to score your fair 20, 25, 30 goals. You're always going to do that in my book. It's just, I think, a case for you. It's just a manager just needs to play you and play you and play you, and you will always score goals. In my opinion, at whatever level you play at, and you've got your pace and you're a good finisher, and sometimes it's just a case of sticking in there, isn't it, and being persistent with it.
Yeah, that's it, mate. That's it. That's exactly it. And there's been plenty of times in my career where I probably could have left somewhere that I wasn't getting a chance, but I've just stuck through it and come out the other side, or ended up going somewhere else. And because the easiest thing in the world is to leave someone when you're not playing, but I think the hardest thing is to change someone's mind and to work your way in. And because I think once you do that, I think you earn the respect to the manager as well. Just that you just didn't toss it off and just leave.
Absolutely, yeah.
You stuck at it, and it takes a bit of character to stick at it through difficult times and then kick on.
Brilliant. Do you, top people that have influenced you? Oh, you've probably been a few.
Yeah. So, well, Andy Cole would have been one of them. The main one was R9, because I've always been into strikers. So it was R9 who I used to watch. I used to have videotapes of Brazil in the Copa America and things like that. And I watched R9 all the time. Ian Wright and Andy Cole were two others. So I'd say those were the top three, but R9 would be the top one.
Yeah, what a player he was.
Yeah.
Any advice for any young aspiring lads that want to try and make their way in the game like yourself, young attacking strikers like yourself?
Just stick at it, really. I think just stick at it, like through adversity all the time. Like nothing's ever going to go your way. Nothing. The only people that's going to go their way will be Messi and Ronaldo. That's it. Everyone else has some sort of bump in the road, whether it be manager dislikes them or whatever. Just stick at it. Always believe in yourself.
Brilliant.
That's it, really.
Yeah, great stuff, mate. Well, thanks very much for today, mate. Like I say, you've been listening to Chalk Talk. My guest today, Scott Wilson. Thanks so much for coming on, Scott, and we'll catch you next time.